bribery, arrests, corruption at the very top of world football. But FIFA's downfall didn't begin in 2015. It began decades earlier, buried under champagne galas, billion-dollar sponsorships, and a powerful president who rewrote the rules in secret. This is the real origin of FIFA's corruption. Where the bribes flowed, the power deals were struck, and the game was never the same again. Hit subscribe now. You won't believe how deep it goes. Welcome to Dutch Crime Files. How FIFA became corrupt. The scandals of the early years. May 27, 2015, Zurich. Before dawn, Swiss police swarm a luxury hotel, dragging bewildered FIFA executives out in handcuffs. The charges: decades of corruption, $150 million in bribes and kickbacks, an empire of graft exposed at last. It was a reckoning long overdue. But how did the world's most popular sport fall into the hands of schemers and crooks? To find the answer, we must rewind to the 1970s, when a power-hungry Brazilian seized control of FIFA and planted the seeds of scandal that would fester for decades. João Havelange's power play. Summer 1974. In the shadows of world football, a quiet coup was brewing. Havelange, an ambitious, hard-nosed Brazilian sports official, set his sights on the throne of FIFA, challenging Sir Stanley Rous, the patrician English president. Rous was the embodiment of the old guard. Under his reign, FIFA was racist, Eurocentric, and hopelessly out of touch. He resisted expanding the World Cup, and even defended apartheid South Africa's inclusion in global football. Havelange saw an opening, and he went for it. He toured Africa and Asia, promising long-ignored nations development funds and real influence. Votes poured in from the so-called Third World federations. But behind the scenes, there were whispers. Small, brown envelopes going into big black hands, one insider claimed. The gamble paid off. In 1974, Havelange dethroned Rous, becoming FIFA's first non-European president. It was a turning point. Almost immediately, he rewarded the countries that had delivered him power, expanding the World Cup and adding more spots for Africa, Asia, and the Americas. But Havelange's vision wasn't just about fairness. He had two insights that would change FIFA forever and open the door to staggering corruption. First, these neglected nations could be a loyal voting bloc to keep him in power. Second, global football was a goldmine, barely touched by TV and sponsorship money. Then came the dinner that changed everything. Havelange met Horst Dassler, the savvy Adidas boss, and marketing mastermind Patrick Nally. Together, they drew up a radical plan: lock in a handful of exclusive mega sponsors, one airline, one soft drink, one beer, and centralize every World Cup TV and marketing right under FIFA's control. Instead of dozens of small deals, a single private firm would buy all rights for a massive guaranteed fee and flip them worldwide for profit. For FIFA and the dealmakers, it was a win-win. For the game itself, it was the start of something far more dangerous: the ISL bribery machine. The dangerous new system Havelange created needed a trusted partner to run it. Enter Horst Dassler. In 1982, Dassler helped set up a Swiss company called International Sport and Leisure, conveniently located right across the street from FIFA's Zurich headquarters. ISL became FIFA's exclusive marketing partner, and almost overnight, the money gushed in. Coca-Cola had signed on back in 1975, and now more blue-chip brands followed. By the 80s and 90s, World Cup broadcasts were reaching billions. Publicly, FIFA spent some of this windfall on stadiums, development, and flashy tournaments. But behind closed doors, ISL was quietly paying personal commissions, bribes, to the very FIFA officials who secured the deals. Between 1989 and 2001 alone, ISL paid 185 million Swiss francs, about $150 million, in under-the-table kickbacks to top sports officials. Envelopes of cash, offshore accounts, all part of a smooth hydraulic cash flow machine. Money in from sponsors, money out to cronies, loyalty secured. For Havelange, it was a masterstroke. He reigned for 24 years, overseeing both FIFA's explosive growth and its deepening corruption. In 1997, as a parting gift before retirement, he granted ISL exclusive World Cup rights through 2006. In return, ISL paid him and his allies handsomely. Years later, a Swiss court revealed Havelange and his son-in-law, Brazilian football chief Ricardo Teixeira, had pocketed 41 million Swiss francs in bribes between 1992 and 2000. At the time, none of it was illegal. Swiss law didn't criminalize private sector bribery until 2000, and FIFA had no ethics code banning it until 2004. The scheme stretched far beyond one man. In South America, Nicolas Leoz took payoffs. In Africa and Asia, votes were traded for gifts. Havelange's protégé, Sepp Blatter, allegedly won the 1998 FIFA presidency through outright vote buying. Envelopes stuffed with $50,000, rumored to be funded by a Qatari ally. Blatter denied it, but the machine Havelange built kept humming, feeding the powerful and silencing dissent. The cracks hadn't yet split wide open, but inside FIFA's gilded headquarters, the first tremors of scandal were already rumbling. If you're enjoying this deep dive into FIFA's hidden history, make sure to hit the subscribe button now. There's a lot more to come, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The Rogues Gallery, Warner, Blazer, Teixeira. Inside FIFA's walls, the tremors of scandal were growing, and a cast of ruthless operators was ready to cash in. Three names stood out in the early years: Jack Warner, Chuck Blazer, and Ricardo Teixeira. Each would push FIFA deeper into the shadows. Jack Warner began as a Trinidadian schoolteacher with big ambitions. By 1989, as head of Trinidad and Tobago's Football Federation, he orchestrated a ticket scam during a decisive World Cup qualifier, printing thousands of extra tickets far beyond stadium capacity. The overcrowding sparked outrage, but FIFA barely blinked. Instead of ending his career, Warner was rewarded. In 1990, he became CONCACAF president and joined FIFA's executive committee. At his side was American marketer Chuck Blazer, a jovial, bearded dealmaker who turned CONCACAF into a money machine. Annual budgets leapt from $140,000 to $40 million thanks to Gold Cups and qualifiers. But Blazer took 10% commission from many deals, misappropriating at least $15 million. He lived lavishly: private jets, champagne, and 2 Trump Tower apartments. Warner matched him in audacity. In 2004, he allegedly solicited a $10 million bribe from South Africa for his 2010 World Cup vote, funneling some to Blazer. He also skimmed ticket sales during the 2006 World Cup, netting nearly $1 million, and in 2011 openly handed out $40,000 cash envelopes to Caribbean officials for political support. When challenged, Warner snapped, "If you're pious, open a church." Our business is our business. In Brazil, Ricardo Teixeira, Havelange's former son-in-law, completed the triangle. With no sports administration experience, he took over Brazil's Football Federation in 1989 under Havelange's patronage. Throughout the 90s, he faced allegations of kickbacks and embezzlement. In 1993, Pelé accused him of gross corruption, prompting Teixeira and Havelange to ban him from the 1994 World Cup draw. Years later, Swiss investigators revealed Teixeira took at least $13 million in ISL bribes. By 2012, Teixeira resigned from FIFA amid corruption probes and fled to a Miami mansion. Warner, Blazer, Teixeira, different continents, same pattern. By the early 2000s, corruption was self-policing. No one was clean enough to blow the whistle. Sepp Blatter insisted, FIFA is not corrupt, definitely not. But inside, the foxes guarded the henhouse, and the racket thrived. Above the law, a state within a state. By the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, FIFA's corruption thrived in a perfect vacuum. There was no real external oversight and barely any internal scrutiny. Under Swiss law, it was registered as a non-profit association, the same legal status as a local yodeling club. This meant it was exempt from strict anti-corruption and transparency rules that applied to corporations. FIFA is organized like a small yodeling association in a mountain village, joked Swiss lawmaker Roland Buechel, lamenting how such a global giant could dodge accountability. As long as the World Cup made money and sponsors stayed loyal, no one looked at FIFA's books. The leadership made sure it stayed that way. FIFA enforced a rule that governments could not interfere in their national football associations, under threat of suspension from international football. This meant that even when officials like Warner or Teixeira faced criminal suspicion at home, local authorities hesitated to act. FIFA had become a globe-trotting empire, answerable only to its own statutes, with no shareholders, no independent oversight, and, until 2004, not even an ethics committee. By the early 2000s, critics were calling FIFA a state within a state. Hosting nations were forced to grant tax breaks, special legal exemptions, and lavish perks. In Brazil's 2014 World Cup build-up, protesters warned, "The real president of our country is FIFA. FIFA comes, sets up a state within a state, and leaves." Inside FIFA, Jack Warner's mantra summed it up: "Our business is our business." Translation: we answer to no one. This immunity allowed corruption to metastasize. In 2002, the ISL scandal finally exploded when the company collapsed with $300 million in debt, dragging FIFA into court and revealing decades of hidden commissions. Havelange quietly resigned his honorary presidency. A few others fell, but under Sepp Blatter, FIFA downplayed it. Blatter even excused it, noting that at the time, commercial bribery was not a crime in Switzerland. For decades, it seemed unstoppable, too profitable, too entrenched. The formula was set: gain power, turn football's passion into billions, skim fortunes under the table. It would take another decade and the force of law to finally break the cycle. When U.S. federal agents and Swiss police struck in 2015, it shocked the world. But in truth, the scandal had been 40 years in the making. In those early years, FIFA's soul was sold. A handful of men transformed a sporting federation into a personal money-printing syndicate. They began with promises and ended in disgrace, leaving football's reputation in ruins. The question remains: was it inevitable? Or can the beautiful game ever reclaim its integrity? The final whistle hasn't blown. The fight to cleanse FIFA is still being played out. And that's how FIFA's early years turned the world's most beautiful game into a goldmine for the few at the top. But this is only the beginning. The deals, the betrayals, the moment the law finally came knocking. It's a story that gets even darker. Hit the subscribe button on my page so you don't miss the next chapter. Because the biggest twist in FIFA's corruption saga is still to come. Thanks for watching Dutch Crime Files. See you in the next video.